Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Turning Timeout. I know it's been a while since my last one, so I wanted to give you an update on a few bits that I've been working on, and also I thought I'd give you a little tour around the workshop as it's changing on what seems a daily basis. Okay, so you can see it's a bit of a mess. I've had a busy weekend. So I recently made this bench. You can see it's got all metal legs and it's finished off with a piece of 3/4 inch ply. I made it high because I quite like working off of a high bench. It seems to help my back a bit, and also I wanted it high enough so that I could fit all my stuff underneath it. So for starters, I've got my table saw, and you can see I've got a drawer that I built under there with a hinge lid, and I use that to keep all my push sticks and digital angle finder. These things are brilliant. So this is a magnetic angle finder that I can put onto the blade, and you can adjust it until you get the 45 degrees rather than just trusting the measurements on the machine. I've got my pressure pot, 140 litre pressure pot. I've got my air compressor, Workmate, and the super jaws that I got from Triton. And there's all my welding equipment and my 4.5 inch grinder. On top of it, you can see I've got my scroll saw and oscillating sander. Couple of battery chargers, that's for my Makita drills. This is a number of different projects that are kind of half finished, in progress. These are some of my silicone moulds that I've made. Nice bowl mould there, some cylinder moulds, so on and so forth. An old bench grinder someone gave me. There's my there's a tool that I've made recently from an old chisel. There'll be a video coming up soon that shows what I use this for. Here I've got a number of restoration projects. An old vise, cast iron skillet, plane and whatnot. So up here for storage, at the moment I've got this metal pegboard with a number of different tools on it. So I've got like pliers and cutters that hang on there. I've got some pots along the front with things like paintbrushes and cable ties and whatnot. So this board here, I'm trying to focus mainly on the stuff that I need for turning, as it's right next to my lathe. So you can see I've got my chucks on there, chuck jaws, face plates, worm screws, that kind of thing. And there's some fine saws there that I use to part stuff off. And up there you can see my brad nailer. This is my lathe. This is my dumping ground for anything that's not immediately in use. So I'll get around to clearing that at some point. Up here you can see I keep all my products. So I've got friction polishes, burnishing stuff. I've got T-cut, Hampshire sheen, Headstrong abrasive paste. I've got Yorkshire grit, microcrystalline wax, CAs and activators. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of stuff up here. Squares of kitchen roll, and this is what I use to apply different finishes to pieces that I'm turning. I've shown these in a previous Turning Timeout. Up here I've got all my micro mesh. That's also on a timeout. There's some drill bits there, depth gauge, some wood glues. Up here I've got a few random boxes of wood, so I've got some teak, oak, teak and mahogany. I've got a magnetic holder here to hold on to my lathe tools. So I've got the traditional tools in there. That's the Simon Hope hollowing tool. This is absolutely fantastic if you're in the market for a hollowing tool. This one's great. And then also I've got my Headstrong carbide chisels, and as I say, the Robert Sorby ones. So you can see I've put this racking at the back here, and this racking goes about 8 foot across. It's about 2.4 meters in length. So I've got a router table down the bottom there, and also a bed extension for my lathe. It bolts onto the end of my lathe if I need to turn something longer than the maximum length of the lathe. I've got a number of different boxes. These seem to be my go-to impulse buy, these kind of organiser boxes, but you can see this one's full of pen kits, and then I've got another one, more pen kits. This is all full of sanding equipment, another sort of half-finished project, and various bits. This has become another dumping ground, but as you can see, I'm in the process of clearing it out. So a lot of these are waxes, varnishes, oils. Down there, that's my little spraying part. So I've got some clear lacquers in there, spray paints, some glow-in-the-dark spray, and that little wooden box. I don't know if you can see that under there. This little wooden box. It's just a back, 2 sides, and a bottom. But it's quite good for putting small pieces in there and spraying, and then it doesn't get everywhere in the workshop. These 2 boxes here, these are full of pen blanks. So here you can see there's my Highland Boxes one, courtesy of Pam Harris. These are beautiful, beautiful blanks. I've got quite a few of Pam's that I was saving for special occasions. No doubt they'll be well utilised over the Christmas period. This unit here is again on casters, and this is my Robert Sorby Pro Edge Deluxe. So this is what I use to sharpen my chisels, and I just found it quite handy to build it into a a unit on wheels, a stand on wheels, with a nice thick piece of kitchen worktop that someone gave me. The obligatory shop radio. Couldn't be without music in the shop. And you can see I've also got I think that's a mitre sled that I made for cutting mitre joints. I think that box there is full of pen cases, so I use that for pen cases. I've got my pocket hole jig up there mounted to a board that I can clamp down when I need to use it. So over here I've got things like spare bandsaw blades. I've got a pen vise, that's another vise for the drill press. I've got this little magnetic LED light. This is quite handy, so if I need a bit of extra light on the piece that I'm working on, I can use it. Drill press. So this is my my small Clark drill press, and my small bench top bandsaw. And I've also got a belt sander, a small belt and disc sander there. So these pieces of ply here, you can see have got like a 45-degree angle on them, and these are for a French cleat system that I'm working on to go through this space here, and then that will help me to mount all these battery chargers, my drills, my circular saw, all the stuff that's basically dotted around the workshop. I can start putting up on the French cleats. So that's the idea with that. These boxes down here tend to be fixings, so Spax fixings, they're all screws. This is my jigsaw, or one of my jigsaws. I've got 2. I've got bolts. These are drill bits. That's the nice Von House router bit set that I showed in my other turning timeout. I've got a rivet gun and a selection of rivets. My Katsu router. That's my Katsu router, and that one is a large McAllister router that I use sometimes. That one's got glue sticks in it. I've got a rotary tool like a Dremel and a box of chisels. Just ordinary, ordinary wood chisels. What else have we got? They're all bits for the router set. I've got a tap and die kit, drum sanders, various different fixings and boxes of hooks and screws and Christ knows what else in there. This is my planer box, so it's got an electric planer in it, an electric detail sander as well. The other jigsaw's down there. That's a 9-inch grinder. I've got that's my pneumatic hammer drill. I've got a laser level and a tile cutter set, a large tile cutter. So this gives me, so I've got a nice piece of rubber on there that's like non-slip, so when it's clear and I can work on there. And then I've got clamps. You can never have too many clamps, as they say. Plenty of clamps, bits and bobs hanging on there. My screwdrivers, grips, hand saws, hacksaws, that kind of stuff sits over here. This cart that I wheel around is my shop vac. So this cart here has got my shop vac on it at the bottom there, and it's also got the cyclone at the top that goes into the plastic box, so I can just empty that out periodically. It's also got dustpan and brush on it, and a broom head that I use to sweep off stuff. It's got a remote control for the actual vac itself, so when I plug it in and connect it to whatever I want, I can just turn it on from there. This is my stool, my shop stool that I've done a build on. This is a special pack, but we'll come back to this in a second. And then over here, I've finally managed to organise, or some kind of organisation, towards my blanks. So you can see I've got a number of different bowl blanks, spalted woods there, zebranos, all sorts of stuff here. We've got that's a bit of holly, I think, but there's a various different bowl blanks and spindle blanks there. There's some oak down here, that's all oak, and then I've got like Marley burrs, and then this is some lining off of some old curtains. So I had these old curtains from our living room, and I cut the lining off the back of the curtains before we threw them out, and I can use this to apply finishes to make rags. So that's effectively my workshop. LED strip lights, they're an absolute godsend, because I had fluorescent tubes before, and it's literally like night and day with these lights, pardon the pun. And then these lights here are a couple of LED spotlights that I put on that allow me to focus on whatever it is I'm turning at the time. And there's my respirator. That's my powered respirator, so it's got a battery pack on there that when you turn it on, it blows the filtered air through and circulates inside. So this unit here that I've been walking around, this is my workbench on wheels, and the idea is that I can move this around the shop as and when I need it. So down here you can see I've got a planer thicknesser, and there's my chop saw. I've also got a couple of random orbital sanders there, one hanging on each side. So when I need my compound miter saw, my sliding compound miter saw, I can get it out and put it on the stand over here. I've got more clamps along the back here, so these are all my quick clamps. I've got some F clamps, I've got more F clamps there, I've got spring clamps on the side here. I've got an old knife if I need one to access quickly, just leave that one on there. Square, some rasps, I've got some rasps there and some spade bits. So this is my resin storage box, which at the moment is empty. However, today I have received this from Metal Clay. So what we'll do is we will open this. And we'll see what's in it. So first of all, it's very nicely packed. There's some leaflets, and stickers and stuff there. And there's my receipt. Set that to one side. Let's see what we got. Plenty of bubble wrap. So we've got a yellow, a white and a violet Alumilite dies. We have as well the full range of Caster's Choice mica powders, so they look pretty cool. I'm liking that. We've got a couple of silicone moulds for a project that I've got in mind. Two of these plastic pumps to allow me to measure the resin accurately. There's the other half of the Caster's Choice range. So as I say, that's the complete set of Caster's Choice mica powders. Fantastic colours in there. And then most importantly, I have some resin at last. It's been a long time coming, but I finally got myself organised enough to get some resin. So there you go. That's a nice 1 gallon kit of the resin, with the mica powders, some of the Alumilite dyes. So yeah, I can't wait to start filling up these moulds and seeing what we can make. So that's my workshop. Hopefully you like it. It needs a bit of a sweep up and a bit of a hoover around, but I'll get there. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and the little bell icon will notify you as and when. You know the drill. I appreciate all your support, and happy turning. Some fine saws there that I use for parting off stuff if I'm feeling so inclined. That sounded a bit weird. So to start the tour, that's bollocks.